investigation. The very first victim was about 14 years old at that time. We were able, from the interview, to figure out exactly where the house was. From the description the victim provided, it was clear that it was Mr. Epstein. The case was assigned to our Special Investigations Unit, partly because of the nature of the crime, and partly because Mr. Epstein was a powerful, influential person. Joe Carey was the lead investigator of the case. Unfortunately, Joe Carey passed away a few years ago, but at the time, he believed there were other victims, so he began contacting them and listening to their stories.
I appreciate you coming down. Well, you're not in any trouble whatsoever. Okay, I just want to put that out there right now. How did you meet Mr. Epstein?
Like 2 years ago or so.
About 2 years ago?
Yeah.
When you first met him?
Yeah.
You were 17 then? What is it that you were told you would have to do?
Give you a massage.
During the massage, did he ask you to remove your pants or?
Yes.
Every victim told essentially the same story. They thought that they would give them a massage. That's what most of them were told. That's what lured them there for a small amount of money.
What else happened when you provided the massage?
He took the towel off and he started cleaning himself, which I was very uncomfortable with. Like, I wanted to leave right when I got there.
Okay.
Our biggest concern was that the victimization not continue. That's why we started surveillance right away. We surveilled the airport, the house, as we found additional victims. One victim would tell us about others, those others would tell us about others, and it began to multiply geometrically.
Okay, first of all, I know this is hard on you, okay? Just take a deep breath.
I'm trying. I was unaware that I was going to be alone with him for that 10 minutes and I thought I was going to die.
Did you have intercourse with him?
After 2 or 3 months, we feared that this involved a really large number of victims.
I found the calendar from December 2004, the month that I met Jeffrey Epstein. I wrote down my first party that I'd ever been to, talked to a boy till 3 o'clock in the morning, and then right before Christmas, that's the weekend that everything changed in my entire life.
I didn't know where, tell me exactly how you were with Jeffrey and Tommy.
My friend told me in class that he could find a way of making money for Christmas. I didn't even know what he was talking about, but I was about that.
I was a good kid. I always thought that my life was just ordinary. I had 7 kids in my family. I was really good in school. I had a lot of friends. In cheerleading, I got the Spirit Award. Just a normal teenage girl.
Right off the bat, it said Jeffrey Epstein likes intelligent young girls.
One day, this girl wrote me a note in class that said, "Do you want to make some extra money massaging old guys?" And I was like, okay, that seems weird, but okay.
I just to get to the old guy's house and just massage him for 45 minutes and you get like $200.
How old was he?
60.
We're driving probably like a good 45-minute ride. We pulled into the big, expensive-looking mansion. Before we got out of the car, she said, "Okay, so if anybody asks, you're over the age of 18, but I don't think anybody's gonna ask, just if they do." I I was only there for like maybe a minute or two, and then he walked in. He laid down on his stomach. He said, okay, there's some lotions over there if you wanted to start massaging my feet and my legs. He flipped over and he was talking to me about the way
He
that
could
I
be
looked.
he could have been
telling me how
targeting the
beautiful I
daughters of God.
was. I never thought I was the pretty girl in high school. I had braces, and for somebody to be pointing the spotlight at me, it was like, okay, he's giving me compliments. I never thought of myself that way. And then he kind of was like grabbing my hip and kind of like maneuvering it so that he could look at me. He was telling me to take off my shirt and pants. He's like, you can get down into your underwear. You know, you start thinking, okay, so if I try to leave or be like, no, we're not gonna do this, you know, how would you leave? Like, is there a gun hidden somewhere like he was gonna pull out? As a young girl, you just do, because he's an adult, you just do what someone asks you to do.
And then he was trapped on the side, and he was dusting himself off at the same time. He was kind of getting me down there. Okay.
And that was where I started freaking out completely. I was like, okay, like, can we just get this over with? This is just so unreal. This is not happening. He just looked like a scary sicko in my mind. Like, he just looked like, I just still have the vision of his face.
I was wondering, I said, I was, well, what if I could do that? Then he has to get so scared.
When he was done, he wrapped himself up in a towel and he said, there's 200 for you. I would really like to see you again. And I was like, okay. In the back of my mind, I was like, I am not ever coming back here ever again. And I just went downstairs and I felt so used. I felt so used, like I was just like this dirty person. Before Epstein, I was something else. The way I saw myself a long time ago was like this flower. A flower that was like opening up. And afterwards, it was like somebody just picked up that flower, plucked it from its roots, and stomped on it and smashed it.
I think it's Richard Henning Sr. especially that's trying to get me to lay down and turn the video off, the computer off, and probably not watch this either.
Many of the girls were brought across the bridge from the mainland, which is West Palm Beach. And it's a whole different world when they cross the bridges. Parts of West Palm Beach are like a lot of other communities along the Gold Coast, where it's working class. It's not necessarily high-end at all. It's a real world. Think what it must have been like to come from Modest means, in some cases, broken homes, troubled homes. Palm Beach is like Oz. If you live in West Palm, I mean, that's just not a world you experience.
My name is Shauna Rivera. This is the house that I grew up in. This is where we would sit out here. We had a big hammock on the patio. This room was my room. The time that I first met Jeff, my girlfriend came over here to take me with her to Jeff's. Right after this street here, there's a trailer park. There's a canal and then there's a trailer park. And so she walked over here and convinced me to go with her. I didn't have a good childhood. I was a runaway for 2 years. My mom used drugs pretty heavily most of my life. My dad went to prison when I was 3. And when I was 10, my dad got out of prison. At some point, my dad had a girlfriend who had some kids, and the kids had clearly been abused prior to this. And I would say it was like a week or so after my 12th birthday, my dad and his girlfriend beat her 8-year-old son to death in front of me. And so I ran away from home. I lived in like shelter homes. Finally, my grandma was able to get custody of me. I was 14 years old when I met Jeffrey Epstein. My girlfriend, she was like, Shauna, I'm going to this guy's house. I can't go by myself. I just can't do it. I just need you to come with me. I was just like, all right, fine. I didn't know what was going to happen. I just went along with it. Once you get over the bridge into Palm Beach, you see yachts and all these huge mansions. This is like not something I'm familiar with. We walk into the back and there's this girl, she's young, with an accent. I don't know her. She's familiar with my friend. Hi. We walked into this room and this dude walked in. I remember thinking he was kind of rude. He says, oh hey, hi. He's like on the phone and he like lays down. So then my girlfriend tells me we're just gonna give him a massage. And she said, oh well, we have to take our clothes off. And I'm like, I have to take my clothes off? And she says, yeah, we both have to take our clothes off, all of them. So you have me and my 14-year-old girlfriend totally naked, and I'm giving this old man a massage. But then my girlfriend says, well, I'm gonna go. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing leaving me here? Like, why? I couldn't believe she was walking out of there. Then this guy, he asked me how old I was. And I remember telling him that I was 15 years old, and I was actually 14 years old. That didn't scare him. It was kind of like, oh, okay, like you're 15. Then he turned over and he wanted me to rub the lotion that we were using like all over his chest. And he told me to just grab his nipples and squeeze and pinch as hard as I could. And I just remember standing there and just being like, what is going on? Like, this is so weird. I just couldn't wrap my head around it. I was like, what the fuck is this? I'm 14 years old. I'm a virgin. It just went on like that for a couple of minutes and he finished. And there was money sitting there. He told me to go ahead and pick up the money. So I just got dressed and I walked out and left. I was so embarrassed. I didn't know how to say like, no, I don't want to do that. I don't know know how long it was after the first time I had gone over there, but I one day got a phone call at my house. They called me a cab to take me to Jeff's. There was no explanation, there was just take the cab to Jeff's. I assumed if I went back, I would get more money. I mean, I didn't have any money. I didn't have a family like that. I just didn't know how to handle it, you know? So I think I kind of went into this kind of like pilot mode kind of situation where I just tried to like get through it and just go home. I couldn't say this isn't right. I couldn't say this isn't normal. I couldn't say like this is a sick man. And it was probably for like 3 or 4 years I continued to go.
I'm an educational psychologist and mental health counselor. I've worked with many victims of sexual trauma, and the first thought that I had when reading about the Jeffrey Epstein case is that he targeted girls that were so vulnerable. And this is something that most sexual predators do. The first step in the grooming process is spotting a vulnerable victim, someone who is financially disadvantaged or that already have some sexual trauma in their past. Sexual predators like Jeffrey Epstein have an eye for picking out someone who is in need of something, and they identify that need and then they exploit it. When you're pairing a teenage girl with a brilliant, narcissistic billionaire, their adolescent brain was not equipped to understand or react to what was happening.
We were frustrated that while some people were cooperative, most of the victims did not want to prosecute for fear of Jeffrey Epstein. They knew that Mr. Epstein was a powerful, influential, very wealthy person, so they were very reluctant. And so we decided to talk to some of his employees.
Good morning, Mr. Alessi.
Yes, speaking.
Hi, this is Detective Joe Terry with Palm Beach Police. I am investigating a case against a former employer of yours, Jeffrey Epstein.
You know, this is something that I really would not like to be involved if I'm not involved with.
I understand that, but you may hold some information which would assist me in this case.
But I don't want to get in trouble, or I don't want to get sued by Mr. Epstein or by this company.
You are Alfredo Rodriguez, correct?
Yes, that's me.
Okay. I just wanted to touch base with a case that I'm investigating involving Mr. Epstein.
Okay.
My main concern, obviously, is the girls that come over to work for him.
Okay.
What can you tell me about that?
He has a lot of masseuse, you know. He has a list of favorite female personnel to give him massage, you know, so he gets massage in the morning, massage in the afternoon. They were very private, you know, so I didn't know what might be, you know, behind closed doors. It was my job to keep everything discreet, you know, so.
Would you say these girls were young?
Well, you put me on the spot,
Every part of this case was an uphill battle. His employees didn't want to cooperate. So we went through the trash in his home. In one case, we found a school report card for one of the victims. In another case, we learned that he sent a messenger to the school to provide flowers to a victim who had been part of a performance there.
West Palm Beach has dozens of high schools and middle schools, thousands and thousands of kids. There's some private schools out there. and all these schools became a hunting ground for this predator.
I think at 16, 17, when you're in high school, I think we're all vulnerable. This is Royal Palm Beach High School. This is where we went to high school. Not the happiest moment in my life.
My name is Haley Robson, and I was 16 when I met Jeffrey Epstein. Growing up in West Palm Beach, I had a big family, lots of cousins. I had 2 sisters. My dad was a police officer. My mom worked in banking.
I love horses. I started riding when I was 11. A couple years later, I got competitive. This was probably the most happy time of my life.
But I had gone through a traumatic experience before I met Jeffrey Epstein. The summer before I turned 16, I was raped. It was my first experience with a man. He was 21. I just closed up. I started using drugs. I was drinking all the time, smoking weed. I just kind of wanted to just vanish, just disappear. The girl that introduced me to Jeffrey Epstein went to high school with me. She said, I know this guy, and he would give me $200 just to give him a massage. And my first immediate reaction or thought that came to my mind was, this is my ticket out of West Palm. This is my way out. We drove to and we actually walked in. It wasn't the front door. It was almost like the side door that led into the kitchen. I remember we walked up a flight of stairs that kind of curved, and the first thing that I noticed, because it was so distracting, was the wall art. A lot of nudity, naked statues, naked pictures. It made me feel uncomfortable. And then I saw like a photograph of kids. It wasn't normal. The massage began as a massage. Then he turned over. He was naked on the table. And I just remember feeling really scared. Just brought up a lot of bad emotions.
Did he touch you?
Yeah, inappropriately.
Does he use his hand? Does he
He
use
uses his hands, and I guess like the vibrator. But I refused to do that.
He tried to touch me below the belt. I declined. I told him I didn't feel comfortable. No, it's not gonna happen. At that moment, he was offering me, okay, well, this isn't gonna happen, so just if you have any friends, if you bring them to me, I'll give you $200.
just to bring a girl?
Yeah, just to bring her
And the
up.
girl that was going knew that she would have to massage him.
She knew everything.
How long have you been working for him?
I grew up from the years.
I probably recruited maybe 24 girls.
And those girls brought other girls too.
Oh, okay.
So it's like a train.
Who else was underage?
Under 18. All of them.
All of them.
All of them.
I would recruit girls that were friends. I would just casually bring it up, and we would drive together to his house. I would take him to the room, and then I would walk out. Sometimes I would wait out by the pool. When the girls would leave, Jeffrey would come outside to pay me. He would say, how are you? How is everything? How's your family? He wanted you to think he was a friend and that he cared.
Alright, so it's my bullshit with it.
At this point, you've clearly implicated yourself in a crime, okay? Taking girls to somebody's house for the purpose of prostitution. More importantly, and more significantly, one of those girls was 14 at the time, okay? Now, that's a pretty significant second-degree felony.
I remember them being really tough on me, and I think at one point I started crying. And I remember feeling really scared, and they treated me like I was his right-hand man. But what about the girl that recruited me? What happened to her? What about the girl that recruited the girl that recruited me? I feel like I've been putting the blame on myself for so long, bashing myself and just being hard on myself, but I shouldn't feel guilty about it because I was 16 and he's the adult and he should not make me feel guilty. I've never ever like come forward like this. It just like brings up like so many emotions.
The girls that are recruiting the other girls are definitely victims of Jeffrey Epstein. They were manipulated in a unique way. They were made to feel special, and they were also offered opportunities that could get them out of their life circumstances. And the added bonus that they didn't have to do anything sexual with this middle-aged man. This is how Jeffrey Epstein created a sexual pyramid scheme.
After months of our investigation, we realized that this was a way of life for Mr. Epstein. And I believe he felt he would never be caught. And so it was very important for us to get inside of Mr. Epstein's home because we wanted to see if there was additional evidence and to validate the information given to us by the victims. But we had to be very careful. We did not want to reveal to Mr. Epstein that he was being investigated until we had an airtight case. Finally, 7 months into the case, we felt as though that was the time to execute the search warrant.
This is a complete description of the residence desired to be searched, including the curtilage attached thereof. I will leave a list of what items were taken.
And we were extremely surprised at what we found inside Epstein's house.
This is a complete description of the residence desired to be searched, including the curtilage attached thereof. Being the premises occupied or under the control of Jeffrey Epstein, white male, date of birth 1/20/53. Okay, this is your copy. We are included. I will leave a list of what items were taken.
7 months into the case, detectives executed the search warrant at Mr. Epstein's residence.
They opened the doors and went up the winding staircase into his ornate and bizarre world. Pictures of young kids, half naked, nudes everywhere.
That's funny.
One of the police officers who saw it said that it was just really weird. Detectives also discovered a very bizarre steam room and massage room set up. They actually found some computers and equipment remain in the house, but police suspected most of Epstein's computer hard drives and surveillance cameras and videos had already been taken out of the house.
There was space on a desk where wires were hanging, but there was no computer. at that point, it was fairly clear to us that Mr. Epstein knew that he was under investigation. Epstein had been tipped off. After the search warrant, it was disappointing to realize that Epstein's house had been cleaned up. There were a lot of things that had been removed, but there was still plenty of evidence that was left. I think the most useful thing that we learned was that the victims' accounts, detailed descriptions of Mr. Epstein's home, where rooms were located, the configuration of the home, validated what they had told us. There were memo pads of phone calls that we seized that included contact information for some of the victims and for some of the adult females that had been used to identify and recruit the victims. So that was productive for us as well.
The Mellon family.
That were taken from the investigation that the Palm Beach Police Department did. They're very
Mellon is in Richard Mellon's cave. The Mellon family is from Pittsburgh. When we lived in Imperial, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour outside Pittsburgh, our landlord was a Mellon Bank pilot. He owned the condo we rented. So I would say that's a direct connection between Richard Mellon's scaife and me as a target. Richard Mellon's scaife was caught by his wife having an affair with her last name, her first name was Ritchie, I guess, having an affair with a woman who had been arrested for prostitution before. The Bank of New York is the oldest bank in America. Futures Treasury Secretary Alexander Hamilton founds the Bank of New York, the oldest continuously operating bank in the United States, operating today as BNY Mellon. There's a CIBC Mellon. It's a Canadian company exclusively focused on the investment servicing needs of Canadian institutional investors and international institutional investors into Canada It's part of the BNY Mellon network, which as at March 31st, 2021 had $41.7 trillion in assets under custody and or administration. That's a lot of money. What is the richest bank in the world? The Industrial and Commercial Bank of China Limited. It's the wealthiest bank in the world according to market capitalization. It is also ranked as the largest bank in the world when rated by total assets. Goldman Sachs market cap, Goldman Sachs Group Inc. is 16th largest. JP Morgan Chase is number 6. It's a different source, but it looks like the same information. The Postal Savings Bank of China is number 17, and it's in the UK. All I know is we started subsidizing China's post. Their mail. The United States subsidized China's mail. So the Postal Savings Bank of China is in England. Deutsche Bank is number 19. And Bank of New York isn't listed here. Postal Savings Bank of China Company Limited, also known as PSBC, is a commercial retail bank founded in 2007 and headquartered in Beijing. It provides basic financial services, especially to small and medium enterprises, rural and low-income customers. As of December 31st, 2017, PSBC has 3,798 branches covering all regions of China. The owners are China Post Group, and they own 68.92%. So, it has branches in China. I don't know. Postal Bank of China may have nothing to do with China's mail. Here, Goldman Sachs is number 30. Maybe New York Bank. I don't know. Number of banks for the top 100 by total assets. United States has 11 in the top 100 by total assets. Well, I guess I don't understand why Bank of New York is not on here with trillions in assets. So maybe it's not a bank. Maybe it's an investment house or something. I don't know. But that's it for me for now. So the only scandal I found was Richard Mellon Scaife, his wife, caught him having an affair with a woman who had been arrested for prostitution previously. I'm gonna upload this